Ever wondered who was the first person ever to light up a cigarette? Hi, my name is Ike. Today I want to talk to you about the history of smoking. I intend to take you on a guided tour. And we want to look at how smoking started, the early documentation of the use of tobacco products. For this presentation, I'm going to be sharing a lot of historical information with a view to describing the journey of the cigarette. CancerCouncil.com is an organization dedicated to research and finding the cures and treatments for various forms of cancer. Now, according to their website, they stated that tobacco has been chewed, tobacco has been smoked, tobacco has been inhaled as part of tradition during religious and cultural ceremonies across the century. In 1998, an article by the University of Dayton website described how on October 15 of 1492, Christopher Columbus was first offered tobacco products as a gift by the American Indians that he encountered at the time. Now also, CancerCouncil.com points out that by the 1600s, tobacco use had spread far and wide across Europe, and was actually being used as a monetary standard in transactions and in exchange for products and services. By the 1700s, smoking had become more widespread. The tobacco industry had established itself. It has become a widespread industry. And you may say all this information is historical. What is going on now? Remember, in the 80s and in the 90s, when Marlboro was the #1 brand product out there in the market, according to this article by the University of Dayton, the tobacco product was making over $30 billion in profit just marketing its products. And Marlboro at the time was considered the #1 brand product in the world. There was a kind of competition between Marlboro and Coca-Cola in that period for the #1 brand. Also, University of Dayton article reports how somewhere during the late 70s, the Surgeon General of the United States issued its first report identifying the health hazards of smoking. The report initially was targeting women. The report was first among women because of the dramatic increase of the number of women who picked up the habit of smoking. You will recall the brand product called Virginia Slims. That product was actually a cigarette designed and marketed for women, and they had their slogan, "You've come a long way, baby." And this lasted a whole, I think it was between the 80s and the 90s. These products were out there and they were selling real fast. Now, in the 1980s, there were so many lawsuits that began to be filed against the tobacco industry, and people were beginning to notice the harmful effects of the product. Slowly, smoking was becoming politically incorrect at the time, and more public places were beginning to forbid its patrons from smoking while on their premises. A woman named Marjorie Jacobs, in an online article written in 1997, describes how nicotine, being one of over 4,000 products or chemicals that were present in the cigarette, either the product itself or the smoke that comes out of the product, identified nicotine as one of the 4,000 chemicals. It is this product, nicotine, that was identified as a drug at the time. And what happens is, nicotine, when you inhale a cigarette, nicotine goes into your bloodstream. It is some form of a stimulant. It raises your blood pressure, it increases your heart rate. In other words, it gives you a sense of energy. Kind of makes you feel like you have more energy. And it also speeds up your nervous system. In recent years, there's been growing evidence that tobacco industry has known all this time that cigarettes, were harmful, but they continue to market and sell the products. There was also evidence that they had known that nicotine was addictive, and that they exploited actually this addictive tendency of nicotine to get millions of people hooked on this dangerous product. A court hearing in June of 2011 between Reynolds, which was a tobacco industry, and the FDA ruled in favor of the FDA, and the FDA issued a ruling requiring the display of graphic images on every packaging of every cigarette product. They had graphic images like diseased lungs. They had a cadaver with staples in his chest laying on an autopsy table, with a view to warn people who were using the product of the dangers involved or associated with the product. And these were mandated or required for every cigarette product that was produced on or after September 22 of 2012. Now, according to another article by Joshua in 1996, Joshua Schaffstein, the FDA also found at that time that nicotine met the major laboratory requirement or major laboratory criteria for an addictive agent in terms of the psychoactive effects, the controlled or compulsive use, and the drug reinforced behavior. Okay, now we may not know who the first person to light up a cigarette. We might not have answered that question, through this little presentation. But however, one thing we've known now is that the tobacco products, tobacco itself and cigarettes have been around for over 2,000 years. We know that the practice has grown across the world. It has evolved into various products that are marketed and available today. But despite the fact that many governmental agencies have attempted to regulate its use, tobacco use and smoking and tobacco products still remain a public health issue facing many economies in the world today. Thank you.